The large meeting room aboard the Galactic Council's flagship fell silent as Admiral Krell entered. His 4 arms held data tablets, and his gray skin looked even more ashen than usual. "We have a problem," Krell said, his voice deep and serious. "Our long-range sensors have detected a new species reaching for the stars." The council members shifted in their seats. New species were rare and often trouble. "Show us," ordered head counselor Mox. Admiral Krell pressed a button, and a hologram of a blue-green planet appeared in the center of the room. "They call it Earth. The natives call themselves humans." Images flashed across the display. Metal ships crossing vast oceans, flying machines soaring through clouds, and finally, crude rockets pushing into the thin edge of space. "They seem primitive," said Counselor Dex with relief. Admiral Krell shook his head. "Look closer." The images change, showing massive explosions that turned cities to dust, chemicals that killed millions, and biological research labs working on things that made even the battle-hardened council members uncomfortable. In just one of their planetary cycles, what they call years, they have developed more weapons than most species create in 1,000, Krell explained. "They are constantly at war with each other. They have split the atom. They have created poisons that can kill whole continents." The room grew colder as the council members realized what they were seeing. "And now they look to the stars," Krell finished. Head Counselor Mox stood up. "We cannot allow them to bring their violence to the galaxy. We must make contact before they develop interstellar weapons." Captain Voss stood on the bridge of the scout ship Pathfinder *, his yellow eyes fixed on the blue planet growing larger in the view screen. His thin hands gripped the railing until his knuckles turned white. "Status report," he ordered. Lieutenant Rin looked up from her console. "Our cloaking field is holding, Captain. The humans have not detected us. We are picking up thousands of their transmissions. Any weapons locked on us?" "No, sir. But our scanners confirm the intelligence reports. They have enough nuclear weapons to destroy their own planet several times over." Captain Voss nodded grimly. In his 20 cycles of service to the Council, he had never encountered a species so bent on creating tools of destruction. "What are they doing now?" he asked. Lieutenant Rin adjusted her scanner. Most seemed to be going about daily tasks. Working, eating, sleeping. She paused. "It's strange, Captain. Despite all their weapons, most aren't fighting at all." "A temporary peace, no doubt," Voss said. "Continue monitoring." Officer Lyra, the youngest crew member, spoke up from her station. "Captain, I've been analyzing their facial expressions. They do something unusual with their mouths." "Explain," Voss demanded. "They pull back their lips to expose their teeth. In most species, this would be a threat display, but they do it constantly, even when not in danger." "Some kind of intimidation ritual?" Voss wondered. "Unknown, sir, but it seems connected to their emotional states." The communication panel chimed. Admiral Krell's stern face appeared on screen. "Captain Voss, the Council has made its decision. You are to initiate first contact immediately. We cannot risk waiting until these humans develop further weapons. Approach with caution. Show necessary force to deter aggression." "Understood, Admiral," Voss replied, feeling his heart beating faster. "We will make contact with the humans." As the transmission ended, Voss looked once more at the beautiful blue planet. Such a shame that something so lovely could harbor such a dangerous species. "Prepare the diplomatic team," he ordered, "and keep weapons systems at full readiness. These humans have survived their own violence for centuries. That makes them more dangerous than any species we've encountered before." The crew moved with nervous efficiency, each wondering if they would return from this mission alive. Earth grew larger in the view screen, peaceful and blue, hiding its deadly secrets. The news spread across Earth like wildfire. Aliens had made contact. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity had its answer. In a large conference room at the United Space Agency headquarters, Ambassador Jack Thomas adjusted his tie for the fifth time. "Stop fidgeting," said Dr. Maria Bell, the team's xenobiologist. "You'll do fine." "I'm about to meet aliens," Jack said. "Actual aliens. Forgive me if I'm a bit nervous." Colonel Pete Davis, the military advisor, checked his watch. "They're landing in 20 minutes. Remember, no sudden movements. No showing teeth." Their message made it clear they considered it threatening. Jack nodded. The aliens' first communication had included a long list of behaviors to avoid. No exposed teeth, no loud noises, no quick movements. It felt like preparing to meet a dangerous animal rather than an advanced civilization. Captain Voss stood at the head of the alien delegation as their shuttle descended toward Earth's moon, the agreed neutral location. His crew wore protective suits, just in case the humans tried something. "Remember," Voss said to his team, "these humans are dangerous. Their history is nothing but war and weapon development. Stay alert." Lieutenant Rinn checked the scanning equipment one last time. "All set to detect any biological or chemical agents, Captain." Officer Lara adjusted her translator. "Sir, I've been studying their language patterns. They use many unnecessary words. Words with no clear function. Probably coded messages," Voss replied. "Watch for patterns." The shuttle landed with a soft thud on the lunar surface. Through the viewport, they could see the human shuttle already waiting, small figures in bulky white suits standing nearby. "Let's meet these warriors," Voss said grimly. Jack watched the alien shuttle land. It was beautiful, smooth silver metal with no visible engines, much more advanced than anything humans had built. "Here we go," he whispered. The aliens emerged, 6 figures in sleek protective suits. They moved with careful precision, each step measured. The leader, taller than the others, approached slowly. Jack stepped forward, careful not to smile. "Welcome to our solar system. I am Ambassador Jack Thomas of Earth." The alien leader's translator crackled. "Captain Voss of the Galactic Council, we have come to discuss your civilization." The way he said "discuss" made Jack's skin crawl. Both groups moved inside the temporary lunar base. The room was simple, a large table with chairs on both sides. The humans sat on one side, the aliens on the other. "We have observed your planet," Captain Voss began. "Your weapons development is concerning." Jack blinked in surprise. "Weapons? We were hoping to discuss cultural exchange, scientific cooperation." "Do not pretend," Voss interrupted. "We have seen your nuclear arsenals, your chemical weapons, your biological research." Colonel Davis tensed beside Jack. "Those are defensive measures," Jack explained. "Most nations work toward peace." Voss's yellow eyes narrowed. "Peace? Your history shows 17 major wars in just the last century." "We're learning from our mistakes," Jack said. "We're growing as a species." One of the alien officers leaned toward Voss, whispering something. Voss nodded and turned back to Jack. "Your facial muscles just contracted around your eyes. Is this an attack preparation?" Jack nearly laughed but caught himself. No, it's just an expression of emotion." "Emotion," Voss repeated, as if tasting a foreign word. Officer Lyra moved slightly forward. "What emotion causes this response?" "In this case, surprise at your question," Jack explained. "Humans show their feelings on their faces." The aliens exchanged glances that Jack couldn't read. "Strange," Voss muttered. "Very strange indeed." Dr. Bell spoke up. "We're curious about your species too. Perhaps we could share information about our biological differences." Voss seemed to consider this. "Perhaps. But first, we must discuss your weapons limitations. The Council is concerned about your expansion into space." Jack felt his diplomatic smile slipping. This wasn't going well at all. Admiral Krell paced the floor of the command center aboard the Galactic Council flagship. Reports from Captain Voss's team were disturbing. "Play the transmission again," he ordered. The screen lit up with Captain Voss's face. "Admiral, we have confirmed the humans possess a biological capability we did not anticipate. They call it humor. It appears to cause involuntary physical reactions, facial contortions, strange breathing patterns, and the release of endorphins in their brains. When one human deploys this humor, others respond immediately. It may be a form of mind control or group conditioning." Admiral Krell's four hands clenched into fists. Analysis. The science officer stepped forward. "It matches no known weapon in our database, sir, but the effects are consistent with neural disruption. These humans can apparently trigger biochemical changes in each other at will. And they're using this during diplomatic meetings?" Krell asked. "Yes, sir. Captain Voss reports several incidents already." Admiral Krell made his decision. "Send new orders. Maximum security protocols. No crew member is to be alone with humans. All conversations must be monitored. If they deploy this humor weapon, retreat immediately." Back on the lunar base, the diplomatic meetings continued. 3 days had passed, and little progress had been made. The aliens remained suspicious of every human movement. Jack rubbed his tired eyes. "We shared our music, our art, our scientific achievements. What more can we do to show peaceful intentions?" Dr. Bell shrugged. "They're fixated on our military history. It's like they're waiting for us to attack." Colonel Davis leaned back in his chair. "Maybe we should just show them cat videos. Everyone loves cat videos." Jack couldn't help it. He let out a short laugh. Immediately, all the alien monitoring devices in the room turned toward him, lights blinking red. "What was that?" Jack asked. "I think you triggered their alarm system," Dr. Bell whispered, "by laughing." In the alien section of the base, Captain Voss received an urgent alert. "The humans just deployed the humor weapon," Lieutenant Wren reported. "Small scale, but definitely active." "Any effects on our team?" Voss demanded. "None, sir. Our distance protocols protected us." Officer Lyra looked up from her station. "Sir, request permission to continue my study of human facial expressions. I've noticed patterns that might help us understand their attack signals." Captain Voss hesitated. Lyra was young and inexperienced, but she had shown remarkable insight. "Granted," he said finally, "but maintain safe distance. Do not allow them to aim their facial weapons directly at you." Lyra nodded, hiding her excitement. Something about these humans fascinated her, though she would never admit it to her captain. Later that day, the human and alien teams met again. The atmosphere was tense. "We have analyzed your broadcasts," Captain Voss announced. "You have a global weapon system called Comedy. Explain its purpose." Jack blinked in confusion. "Comedy? That's not a weapon. It's entertainment. Our scans show it causes neural disruption and uncontrolled physical responses," Voss insisted. Jack finally understood. "You mean laughter? That's not a weapon. It's a natural response to humor." "Humor," Voss repeated. "Yes, our intelligence has identified this term. What is its military application?" Dr. Bell stepped in. "There is no military application. Humor makes people feel good. It builds connections between people." The aliens looked at each other, clearly not believing a word. "Perhaps a demonstration," Jack suggested. Captain Voss immediately backed away. "No demonstrations. Keep your weapons inactive." Jack raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "Not a weapon. I promise." From the back of the alien group, Officer Lyra watched with growing curiosity. These humans were either the greatest liars in the galaxy, or there was a massive misunderstanding happening, and she was determined to find out which. 1 week into negotiations, both sides agreed to share a formal dinner. The humans saw it as a chance to build friendship. The aliens saw it as a necessary risk to gather more intelligence. The lunar-based dining room had been decorated with simple items from Earth: colorful cloth napkins, a small vase of artificial flowers, and soft music playing in the background. Captain Voss entered with his team, all wearing thin sensor suits instead of full protective gear. a small concession to the humans' repeated assurances of safety. Still, each alien carried emergency breathing masks at their sides. "Welcome," Jack said, standing at the head of the table. "We thought sharing a meal might help us understand each other better." Voss nodded stiffly. "We have analyzed your food. We can consume certain elements." "Great," Jack said with forced enthusiasm. "Please, sit wherever you like." The aliens took seats at one end of the table, clustering together. The humans spread out on the other side. Special dishes had been prepared that both species could safely eat, simple vegetables and synthesized proteins with minimal seasoning. Officer Lyra sat closest to the humans, her recording devices active beneath her uniform. Of all the alien crew, she had shown the most interest in human customs, watching their facial movements with intense focus. Conversation started awkwardly. The aliens answered questions about their homeworlds with minimal details, clearly concerned about giving away strategic information. "So," Jack said, trying again, "how long have your people been exploring space?" 12,000 cycles, Voss answered. "Approximately 5,000 of your Earth years." "Impressive," Jack said. "We've only just reached our own moon." "Yes," Voss replied. "Your technology development is unusually rapid." Colonel Davis leaned forward. "We're quick learners." The aliens tensed at his movement. Dr. Bell changed the subject. "Ambassador Thomas here has a funny story about our preparations for this meeting. Jack, why don't you share it?" Jack looked uncertain. "I'm not sure our guests would be interested." "Please," Lyra spoke up suddenly. "We would like to hear." Captain Voss shot her a warning look, but didn't object. Jack cleared his throat. "Well, when we first received your transmission, we weren't sure how to prepare. None of our languages experts could understand your message at first. One of them was so frustrated, he played it backwards, and claimed it sounded like his mother-in-law." The humans at the table chuckled. Jack continued. "We spent 3 days building this special greeting platform with all these fancy lights and sounds. Very official, but when we tested it, the power surge knocked out electricity to half the base. The president was in the shower when it happened." Dr. Bell was already smiling. "And he had to give his first briefing on alien contact with wet hair and someone else's uniform that was 2 sizes too small." The human side of the table erupted in laughter. Even Colonel Davis, usually serious, was holding his sides. The reaction was immediate. Alien sensors began flashing red. Captain Voss jumped to his feet. "Biological attack," he shouted. "Deploy countermeasures." The aliens pulled out their emergency masks, slapping them over their breathing organs. Lieutenant Rin hit an alarm button on her wrist device. Jack stood up, confused. "What?" "No, we're just laughing." "Contain the weapon," Voss ordered. 2 security officers moved toward the humans, holding strange devices that hummed with energy. "Everyone stay calm," Jack said to his team, raising his hands. "There's been a misunderstanding." The room descended into chaos. Aliens rushed to seal the doors. Humans stood frozen, bewildered by the sudden reaction. Only Officer Lyra remained seated, her sensors detecting increased human heart rates, elevated endorphin levels, and the strange facial contractions they called smiles. But unlike Captain Voss, she was beginning to wonder if there was more to this human behavior than weapons deployment. Something didn't add up, and she was determined to find the answer before this misunderstanding turned into a galactic incident. After the dinner incident, both groups retreated to their separate sections of the lunar base. The humans were confused. The aliens were on high alert. In the alien quarters, Captain Voss paced back and forth. "We need to report this attack to the Council." "Sir," Lieutenant Rin said, "our sensors detected no actual damage to our systems. Whatever weapon they deployed seems ineffective against our biology." "Or it was just a test," Voss countered. "A small demonstration of their capabilities." Officer Lyra sat quietly, reviewing her recordings of the humans' faces, the way their eyes crinkled at the corners, the way their mouths opened to show teeth, not as a threat display, but as something else entirely. "Captain," she said suddenly, "request permission to speak privately with one of the humans." Voss turned sharply. "Denied. Too dangerous." "Sir, I believe I've identified patterns in their facial expressions that might help us understand their intentions, but I need to confirm my theory." Captain Voss stared at her. "You want to expose yourself to their biological weapons, alone." "I believe they weren't deploying weapons at all," Lyra said boldly. The room fell silent. "Explain," Voss demanded. "Their facial patterns showed the same expressions during what they call laughter as when they discuss pleasant memories or successful achievements. It's consistent with pleasure, not attack." Voss considered this. It could be a trick. "Then let me find out," Lyra urged, "for the safety of our mission." After a long pause, Voss nodded. "You have 1 hour. Full sensor recording. Emergency beacon active at all times." Jack was alone in the conference room, reviewing notes, when Officer Lyra entered. He looked up in surprise. "Hello," he said carefully. "Can I help you?" Lyra approached slowly. "I wish to ask about the thing that happened at dinner." "The laughter?" Jack asked. "Yes, this laughter. Is it truly not a weapon?" Jack blinked. "No, absolutely not. It's an expression of joy, amusement. It's a good thing." Lyra tilted her head. "But it causes physical reactions, changes in breathing, muscle contractions." "Yes, but pleasant ones," Jack explained. "Laughter makes us feel good. It releases tension, brings people together." "Show me," Lyra said. Jack hesitated. "I can't just laugh on command. It has to be triggered by something funny." "What is funny?" Lyra asked, genuinely curious. "Humor is." Jack paused, thinking. "It's when something unexpected happens, or when we see the truth about ourselves in a new way. It's complicated." Lyra moved closer, and the facial expression, the one where you show your teeth. "A smile," Jack said. He demonstrated a small one. "See, not threatening. It's how we show happiness." Lyra studied his face intensely. "You do this when you feel good." "Yes, we smile when we're happy, when we greet friends, when we see something beautiful or pleasing." Understanding dawned in Lyra's eyes. "So when your people were making the laughing sounds at dinner, we were enjoying ourselves, sharing a moment of connection," Jack explained. "The story I told was amusing because it showed how unprepared we were, how human even important people can be. And humans find imperfection amusing." Lyra asked. "Sometimes. It reminds us we're all the same underneath our titles and positions." Lyra was quiet for a moment, processing this. Then, with visible effort, she pulled back her mouth corners in an awkward attempt at a smile. Jack smiled back, genuinely this time. "That's it. A bit stiff, but definitely a smile." The door burst open. Captain Voss stood there, eyes wide. "Step away from the human, Officer Lyra," he commanded. "Captain, I've discovered something important," Lyra said, turning to face him. "Their facial expressions. They're not weapons. They're communication. The smile is a sign of friendship." Voss looked at Lyra's attempt at a smile with horror. "You've been compromised." Jack stood up slowly. "Captain Voss, please listen. There's been a huge misunderstanding between our species." Voss raised a scanning device. "We'll see about that." The next 12 hours were tense. Captain Voss had Officer Lyra examined by the medical team, convinced she had been affected by some human mind control. Jack and his team were confined to their quarters while the aliens debated what to do. In the Alien Command Center, the medical officer delivered his report. Officer Lyra shows no signs of neural damage or outside influence. Her brain patterns are normal. Captain Voss frowned. "Then why is she defending the humans?" "Because I observed them carefully," Lyra said, stepping forward. "Captain, I believe I can prove my theory. Let me show you." Voss hesitated, then nodded. "How?" A controlled experiment, Lyra suggested. One human in a sealed room. We monitor everything. They demonstrate this humor and smiling while we measure all biological responses. Lieutenant Rin looked skeptical. It could be dangerous. If I'm wrong, we'll have proof the humans are using biological weapons, Lyra said. If I'm right, we've misunderstood an entire species. After much debate, Captain Voss agreed. One human. Maximum security. Jack stood in the center of a clear chamber. Around him, alien sensors hummed and blinked. On the other side of the transparent wall, Captain Voss, Officer Lyra, and several other aliens watched carefully. "Can you hear me?" Jack asked. Lyra nodded. "Please explain to Captain Voss what you explained to me about human facial expressions." Jack took a deep breath. Humans use their faces to show emotions. When we're happy or pleased, we smile like this. He demonstrated a friendly smile. The alien sensors recorded everything: his muscle movements, heart rate, brain activity. This expression is universal across human cultures, Jack continued. Babies smile before they can speak. It's instinctive, not a weapon. Captain Voss studied the readings. Continue. Laughter is similar. It's a response to humor, to joy. It's how we connect with each other. Jack paused. May I show you something? Voss nodded cautiously. Jack pulled out a small device, a tablet computer the aliens had already scanned and approved. These are images from Earth, pictures of humans smiling in different situations. He displayed the first image, a mother smiling at her baby. This is parental love. Next, a group of friends laughing together. This is friendship. A couple smiling on their wedding day. This is romantic love. Old people smiling with their grandchildren. This is family connection. The aliens watched in silence, their sensors continuing to record. In none of these cases is anyone being attacked or controlled, Jack explained. These are moments of genuine happiness. Officer Lyra turned to Captain Voss. The readings match my observations, sir. No weapons signatures, just normal biological responses to positive stimuli. Voss seemed troubled. But at dinner, when everyone displayed these expressions at once, we were sharing a moment, Jack said. Humor brings us together. It's how humans bond. Bond, Voss repeated. Form connections, build trust, Jack clarified. A younger alien stepped forward hesitantly. May I try? Captain Voss started to object, but Lyra intervened. Let him try. Sir. The young alien, whose name was Trell, awkwardly pulled back his mouth corners, mimicking Jack's smile. Jack smiled back. That's it. You've got it. Something remarkable happened. The tension in the room began to fade. One by one, other aliens attempted their own versions of smiles, strange and stiff, but unmistakable. Captain, Lyra said softly, I believe we've been afraid of the wrong thing. These humans aren't trying to attack us with their expressions. They're trying to connect with us. Voss watched as his crew continued their awkward attempts at smiling. For the first time, he looked uncertain. The council must be informed, he said finally. This changes everything we thought we knew about humans. Jack felt hope rising. Perhaps this misunderstanding might lead to something wonderful after all. A true connection between species. 2 weeks later, the lunar base buzzed with activity. The Galactic Council had sent a delegation to meet with Earth's leaders. What had started as a tense first contact was turning into something entirely different. Admiral Krell himself had arrived, initially skeptical of Captain Voss's reports about human emotional expressions. But after seeing the evidence and experiencing his first human joke, even he had to admit they had misjudged humanity. In the main conference room, human and alien officials gathered to sign a historic agreement. Jack stood beside Captain Voss, who looked almost relaxed now. Did you ever imagine we would end up here? Jack asked. Voss made what passed for a smile in his species, still awkward but genuine. Never. We came expecting to contain a dangerous species. Instead, we found friends. Admiral Krell approached the podium, his 4 arms holding the treaty document. Today marks a new chapter for both our civilizations. Earth will join the Galactic Council as our newest member. The room erupted in applause, a human custom the aliens were still getting used to. We admit our error, Krell continued. We misinterpreted human expressions as weapons. We saw your history of conflict and assumed the worst. But we have learned an important lesson. The Earth President stepped forward. And we have learned much from you as well. The universe is larger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. They signed the treaty together, cameras flashing to capture the historic moment. Later that evening, a smaller celebration took place. Humans and aliens mingled, sharing food and stories. Officer Lyra sat with Dr. Bell, comparing notes about their species. So you really thought our smiles were weapons? Dr. Bell asked, still amazed by the misunderstanding. Lyra nodded. In many species, showing teeth is a threat, and your ability to change your facial expressions so quickly seemed suspicious. I suppose when you put it that way, it makes sense, Dr. Bell admitted. Across the room, a young human was teaching alien children how to play a simple game. When one succeeded, the child smiled broadly, and after a moment's hesitation, the alien children attempted to smile back. Captain Voss watched this exchange with Admiral Krell. I still don't understand this humor completely, Krell confessed, but I see its value. Officer Lyra is developing a translation guide, Voss replied. Different types of smiles, laughter, their meanings and contexts. Good, Krell said. Add it to our cultural database. All species dealing with humans should understand these expressions. At a nearby table, Colonel Davis was telling a joke to a group of alien security officers. When he delivered the punchline, there was a moment of confusion. Then one alien made a strange clicking sound, their version of laughter. Soon, others joined in. Jack found himself standing next to Captain Voss again, both watching their teams interact with growing comfort. You know, Jack said, we feared you as much as you feared us. We thought you might conquer Earth. And we thought you would spread weapons across the galaxy, Voss replied. Instead, you'll spread something much more powerful. What's that? Voss gestured to the room full of smiling faces, human and alien alike. This connection. This happiness. As if to prove his point, a human child ran up to Voss and handed him a small drawing, a stick figure of an alien with a big smile. Voss accepted it carefully, studied it for a moment, then did something no one expected. He laughed. It wasn't quite like human laughter, more like a rhythmic humming, but its meaning was unmistakable. Joy had found a way across the barrier between species. In that moment, everyone understood a profound truth. In all the vastness of space, perhaps the most powerful force wasn't weapons or technology, but the simple ability to share happiness with others. The aliens had come fearing human weapons, only to discover the most disarming thing of all, a smile.